Hello, guys. We're here once again. I have invited a very good friend of mine, Captain Gilberto Giordani. He is in Porto Alegre right now. How are you, Gilberto?
Hi Daniel, I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Aside from the pandemic and everything,
Yeah,
things are good.
striving. We'll see
Yeah,
each other in the end of this for sure. And
yeah.
I invited Giordani today because he has a very inspiring story with aviation. He started his career as a cabin crew, and 10 years after that, he was an international captain flying all over the Middle East, Asia, Europe, and he has very good experience to share, funny stories. We share some stories among ourselves too, because we were wingmans in our simulator during our training last year. And first of all, Jordan, if you can just give us a quick introduction on how you became passionate about aviation. How was your first love with aviation?
Oh, well, that is basically from my childhood. Of course, as a kid, I wanted to be a firefighter, Formula One driver, garbage truck, everything. But aviation pilot was the main passion. And I think the main reason for that is because my childhood, I lived with my mom, and we lived in here in Porto Alegre in the final approach of runway 29.
Mm.
So the whole day, night, every time there's aircraft are landing or taking off from Porto Alegre, it goes over my house. And I'm saying that every day. I used to I used to climb on the rooftop of my house, lay down when as a kid, and at night just watch the planes landing, basically landing from runway 29. You can see the lights from the landing lights from far away. Just keep looking at them, and that was it. Airplanes over my head the whole time. There's no way you cannot love it.
This is nice. That's a very nice story. And we don't even think about it, but we have responsibility when we're flying our airplanes. There is always a kid watching and dreaming about becoming a pilot one day. And most of the people think that to become a pilot, you have to be rich. Your father has to be a
Oh,
captain, and you're gonna be an airline captain really fast. And this is so
yeah,
mistakenly what
yeah, that helps. So of course, that helps, but it's not the it's not the only way. If you really want to do it, there are other ways to do it.
yes, tell us how you did it. How was your way?
Well, oh, my way. Well, first of all, I didn't have a rich father, or my father was not a pilot. Nobody from my family is from the airline industry. Just my sister, but she became a flight attendant a few years after I I was already with the aviation bug. You know, my mom was a single mother. She was working a normal job, didn't have any money. Uh, Finally, okay, you start working for a lot of stuff, and fast forward to 2002, I start my PPL, my theory, the training. I finished my PPL and I didn't have money for the flight hours.
Hmm.
It was expensive. It is
Yes,
expensive to
it
do
is
the
the
flying
expensive
hours.
part. Yes, private pilot
Yeah,
is
it is the
not so
expensive part.
expensive. Yes, but after private pilot, it becomes really expensive.
Yeah, and I didn't, by that time, I didn't have money even to do the private pilot flying hours.
Hmm.
So I did the theory, but I couldn't fly. My mom didn't have money to pay for the hours, and I basically don't have any communication with my father. I know him, but we don't have a relationship. So what I try to become that's very funny. I, I was trying to see, okay, what's closer to aviation? What can I do about it? And the first thing by that time it was I I made the here in Brazil called the vestibular, it would be the SATs in the
Hmm.
US or something like that, to be a physics teacher. Because that for me that time it was the closest thing to aviation because aviation is too
Makes sense.
expensive.
It makes sense.
Yeah, so I did it. I did 1 year in the university for physics in Urgis, but that was not it. You know, I was not going to be happy. So the second best thing was I decided to become a flight attendant. You know, the course to be a flight attendant, it's way cheaper than a pilot.
Yes.
You know, take a lot less time for you to do it. So I did the course. I finished. I sent my CV to every airline in Brazil that I knew. Even everyone, you know, by that time it was Pantanal, it was Total, there was even Rico,
Even
TAF.
you sent it even to the cargo,
every airline. And then one day, one friend of mine, we did the flight attendant course together. He called me and he said, listen, there is one airline, Qatar Airways. They're going to have an interview here in Brazil, in Porto Alegre. Why don't you come and see it? You know? And then I said, oh yeah, I'll check it out. How is an airline interview, you know, because maybe next time I'll be ready. And a lot of things happened. I couldn't go for the first part of the interview. You know, they said, oh no, you need to come this day, and then you're going to have a second phase and all that stuff. The first phase I couldn't go. So I said, okay, forget about it. Forget about Qatar Airways. There's nothing to do. And then the owner of the flight attendant school, I know him. He called me and he said, listen, call this number. There will be an interview, the first phase in São Paulo. If you want to go for the first phase and try in São Paulo, call this guy and he'll arrange it for you. I called the guy and the guy said, okay, listen, if you don't have a perfect English, don't come.
Mm-hmm.
You must be fluent. If you are not fluent, you're not going to go through the first phase. And by that time, at least I was very self-conscious about my English and said, okay, I don't have a fluent English. I will not go to São Paulo, you know, spend all the money for the tickets and everything if the guy said about fluent English. And by that time, I didn't have one. At least that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the second phase in Porto Alegre, what happens that Qatar Airways, they were accepting like an open day. You could go even though you didn't go for the first phase, you could go directly to this open day. So that's what I did. I went there basically to see how the interview is, you know, for the maybe next time I have an interview in another airline, I know what to expect. And for my surprise, in the batch of 20 guys in the afternoon, only me and another guy was chosen. I was very, very surprised because there were some great people there, you know, living abroad for a long time and speaking perfect English. And because I was very self-conscious about my English, I was like very shy and just to ask one question, you know, because they were doing all the presentation in English and everything. And even to ask a question, because I was thinking, okay, I need to show myself that I'm here. And I wanted to ask a question. It took me 20 minutes to formulate the question in my head, you know, simple sentence, because I was like, okay, is this grammar correct? Is this correct? And then I asked, what about the food? 20 minutes to make this sentence because I was very self-conscious about my English. Man.
Yes, it's hard. In the beginning, it's hard.
Yeah, and because you learn it in Brazil, you don't have with whom to talk about it, you know. Yes. You don't practice talking. So
you went there to acquire some experience, you know, just to see how it feels to be part of an assessment, and then you were approved. And
yes.
And now
that
what?
was a big surprise. And then all the medicals, I had to do all the medicals, and I went to Qatar in May 2005.
It was the first time you went outside of Brazil?
Yes, first time.
Nice.
First time I went, I had to do my passport. I didn't have a passport or anything because I never left Brazil before. And I spent there about 3 years. Actually, I didn't even know there was a place called Qatar. You know, I had to look on the internet and look for
Very
you to see about the airline and everything because I didn't know anything about Qatar. And then I left May 2005, stayed there for about 3 years, a little bit more than 3 years. That's where I managed to get my the money to pay for my flying
you
lessons.
paid for your flight hours with the money you were getting from being a cabin crew for Qatar Airways. This is amazing. And but where did you get your flight training? Was it back in Brazil or was it here?
It was back in Brazil. No, it was back in Brazil. I stayed there for the 3 years. I saved the money, you know. So when I went, I didn't have any money and experience or anything. Like you said, I didn't have a rich father or a captain father or anybody in the family. So there are other ways. The way it suited me better. It was try to be a flight attendant, and I know a lot of people who did that.
Yeah, me too.
You know, you save the money, and after saving the money, I resigned from Qatar Airways, came back to Brazil, and it was end of 2008 when I started my flight training here in Porto Alegre.
Nice, nice. And then you were able to make a very quick transition between being a cabin crew to being a certified commercial pilot, and then you started looking for a job.
Yes, I did. Because I managed to save the money in basically the whole amount of money for the whole training. It was good, so I did my training very fast. Basically, I finished from 0 hours to CPL in 1 year.
Nice.
That was it. So I started end of 2008, beginning of 2000. No, end of 2009, I finished my training.
Nice, nice.
And then I joined the flight school as a flight instructor in the flight school for another year. And then 2011, I managed to finally got hired by Avianca Brazil, Ocean Air.
Good old times.
Yeah, good old times. In the Fokker 100.
Oh, you flew the Fokker. Oh.
Yeah, I joined the Fokker 100 fleet. Amazing aircraft.
That's a good experience. That's a good first jet, right?
Yeah, it's a very, like you say, it's a very good teaching aircraft.
Nice. How long did you fly? How many hours do you have on it?
About 600 hours. It was 650 hours. It was just 1 year because it was the time 2011 when it was the time when the company they were getting a lot of Airbuses. So when I was supposed to do my recurrent training for the Fokker 100, actually they gave me the upgrade to the Airbus fleet.
The Airbus. So you started flying the Airbus in 2012?
2012, yeah.
And you have been flying this airplane all along?
Well, yes, since 2012.
Nice. And when did you go upgrade to captain?
I got upgraded to captain in 2016. 2016. You know, because when I joined the company, it was a small company, so my number, it was a low number as a first officer. So when I finally got all my marks, it was time to get upgraded. I was lucky by this matter. I didn't have to wait that much. It was about 5 years from the time I joined the company. So 2016, I got my captain upgrade.
That's nice.
And stayed with the company until
the end.
Well, we all know what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, we were there together. We shared this not so happy experience, but and then we took the same path. But I want to hear from you. How was it when we knew that Avianca was not going to last very long? So every pilot starts to look for a job, you know, everywhere, China and Vietnam and the Middle East, and then we both applied and were called. We were approved and we were called by Air Astana. But I wanna hear from you. How was the decision-making process? How did you prepare for the screenings, and which airlines did you pick? How was it?
When Avianca filed for the bankruptcy, it was December 2018, that they filed for the bankruptcy and start all the process. I started looking for, I began to look for another airlines, you know, around the world. And because my wife, she's finishing university, I need to be a commuting contract. So that's basically what I was looking for, a commuting contract. First of all, try China, because by the time they had the best commuting contracts, I did all the process, all the phases, but in the last part was the last SIM check. I gotta be honest, I did a big mistake, you know, and I cannot blame the Chinese people or the guys. It was my mistake. After I done that, I realized, you know, it was my mistake, and I didn't pass for that assessment.
Yeah, this happens. It's not easy. You know, it's not easy to be evaluated when you are unemployed, when you're looking for a job, when you don't have a very good situation in order to be able to study and prepare properly. You know, it's a very stressful. It's not an easy situation. I know what you're talking about. We've been
Yeah, you know, it was you know you're going to lose your job because the company it's going for bankruptcy. Uh, for the last assessment, the last SIM check, I took the flight from Brazil to almost 2 days flying to China, and I arrived there. It was early morning in China, and at night the same day I have the assessment.
Wow.
So I didn't have much time to rest, but I'm not blaming this or that. It was my mistake. I know the mistake I did.
Yeah, of course. We all make mistakes, but all these adds up to not being
Yeah,
perfect or in our desired state. So after you give China a try, what did you do next?
After that, I was again looking for another airlines. I mean, I had a list of airlines. You know, first one was China because of the commuting, and then the other commutings I was looking at was Vietnam, and also Air Astana in Kazakhstan. And
did you know where Kazakhstan was in the map, or did you have to look that up?
I had to look just to be sure. I knew the region, but just to be sure, I had to look it again.
Me too.
I had an idea where it is, but to be sure, I had to look it again. But in Qatar, I had no idea, so it was a bit different. And then I talked with my wife, and because my wife actually, I met my wife in Qatar. She's not Brazilian; she's from Bulgaria. She's living here in Brazil now, but she's Bulgarian. So I talked to her, said, okay, listen, there's Vietnam, there is Kazakhstan, and because Kazakhstan is closer to Europe, you know, and she needs to visit her family, her mother that lives in Bulgaria, her sister is living in London, said, okay, it's much easier Kazakhstan. So that was my second option. We talk about the winter. You know, I researched about the winter in Kazakhstan, and I was okay. Why not?
Let's see how it is.
And then I sent all my CV, all the documents, everything for the broker, you know, the agency. And the funny thing again, it was like the guy called me and said, okay, he sent me a mail and said, oh, there is a slot. They're going to do an assessment in Sao Paulo. There is a slot for after 2 weeks. I said, okay, good. After 2 weeks, I have time to prepare, you know, study, because review all the procedures and everything, because when you stop flying, you get a little bit rusty and you lose a little bit. So, and then the next day, they called me and they said, listen, it was noon, midday, they called me and said, listen, it's open a slot for tonight. You want to go for this tonight? And I said, yeah, why not? Let's go. Let's do it. So I took I bought my ticket. I went to São Paulo. Of course, I was studying the whole time during the flight,
Yes.
bus, waiting for the assessment, reviewing all the procedures. And then when I get there, I met the two captains. They were very nice. I was quite nervous because assessment, I failed. I just failed one assessment. I'm going to have another one. So, I was quite nervous, but both of the captains that were there, they were very nice, very polite. They made me feel very at ease, so, and thankfully I got it.
Yes, yes. They were both very professionals, and I was really
Yeah.
glad when I met them in São Paulo. It was fair and not so stressful screening. It was nice.
Yes, exactly.
And then we both met in Almaty, September 2nd. Was this?
Yeah, no, September 1st.
First, yeah, one day before the ground school
One day
started.
before, yeah.
Yeah, so we worked for the same airline in Brazil. We did the same screening process, but we never met, and we met in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, because in Brazil, I was based in Brasilia.
Yes, and I was based first in Salvador and then in Rio.
Yeah, that's why we never met, because different bases, two captains will never fly together in different bases.
I remember that I got there one day before you did. I asked them to anticipate my flight one day, and then on the first day I got there. I tried to solve as many issues I could. And you're just like me in this matter. If you have a problem, you have time, you want to solve it. So when you got there, I already had a phone line. And
yeah, you had. You were my tour guide, my tutor. Said, okay, to get the phone, you go there, you do that.
Yeah.
For me, it was very easy.
But then you started to teach me the Cyrillic alphabet, the Russian alphabet, and I had no idea how to read anything. And you knew how to read in Russian because of your wife, right?
Yeah, because as I said, my wife is Bulgarian, and in Bulgaria they also use the Cyrillic alphabet. So I was studying, to be honest, a very lazy studying of the Bulgarian language.
10 years studying.
Yeah, 10 years studying, I still don't speak anything. She wants to kill me, but
it's just like my French.
Yeah. So at least the alphabet, I could read some stuff, and because you can read some words, they sound the same as English or Portuguese, you can have an idea of what it is.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned the
It was very important to both of us because we, between all the Brazilian guys that were there, we were the two that got everything solved really fast. We got our passports translated, we opened bank accounts, we got phone lines, and we did all that really quick. Guys that were there for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months before us, they had nothing of that done, and we did that very quick. And it was only the two of us in the hotel and in the ground school. We did the entire process together. And we have a funny story when we went to Amsterdam for our low visibility training. Do you remember this? That we were in the training, and you were pilot flying, I was pilot monitoring, and we are taxiing. Most of the guys that were watching this video, they're pilots, but some are not. So I'm gonna have to say this. Taxiing an aircraft is not as easy as it seems. For us pilots, sometimes it's the most difficult part of the flight, especially if you're taxiing an airport that you're not familiar with. And that was our case. We are taxiing low visibility in Amsterdam in a flight simulator, with an Italian guy in the back. And then we missed the taxiway we were supposed to turn. It was like, oh, I didn't see, he didn't see. And then we took off, we did all the maneuvers, we swapped places in the air, and then we landed, and then I was pilot flying, you pilot monitoring, and we missed the same taxiway.
Exactly, he gave the same taxi clearance, to follow the same tax, and we missed the same taxiway from the takeoff. That was unbelievable, because when we swapped places, then I was pilot monitoring, I came to landing, clearance, and I was thinking to myself, like, hey, now pay attention,
Pay
look the
attention.
chart, go very slow. Okay, he's taxing very slow, we're not going to have any problems. And then we missed the same taxiway, man.
Yes, yeah, that was really
I
funny.
remember that.
And how was
Yeah,
the experience flying in Kazakhstan airspace outside? Now we have many different routes. We flew to Istanbul, Dubai, Europe, and some cities in Asia like Beijing and Delhi, and flying with people from different nationalities. We flew with Russians, Italians, Kazakh, of course, and Brazilians and all that. How was it, Gilberto? Because you flew in Qatar, it's also a multicultural environment. But
yeah,
now in Kazakhstan, you are the captain, so it
yeah.
changed a little bit, right?
It's a very different situation because in Qatar was a lot of, like you said, a multicultural situation. But I was a cabin crew, junior cabin crew, so no responsibilities. I mean, you have safety and all that stuff, but when I say no responsibilities, you don't make the decisions
Mm-hmm.
about anything. And then again, when in Kazakhstan as a captain, uh, at the beginning, I felt it was quite challenging, because it's a new company, it's a new SOP. Uh, like you said, for who is not a pilot, SOP is basically the procedures you have to follow for the company procedures you have to follow. Uh, Although the airplane is the same model, but they have different procedures, different regulations, and you have to learn all that because now you are in charge, and any mistake or any decision is on you. And also on top of that, you have the language barrier
Yes.
because you're not native speaker. I'm not a native English native speaker. Uh, our colleagues also are not English native speaker.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that communication barrier until you get used to the accent of the people, the way they talk and everything. It takes a while, even for
Yes.
the air traffic control, because they have a different way to do things, clearances and everything. Although there is a standard, but uh, sometimes you miss some things. It's
Yes.
the communication was the most tricky part for me, the most trickiest. I'm not sure which one's the correct.
Yeah,
But
I agree with you. The communication can be really tricky, especially if you're dealing with unfamiliar airport, non-native speakers in the same cockpit. And if you add up the weather, like the heavy snowstorms that we faced in
yes,
Kazakhstan, and runways, they are not always in a very good shape. Sometimes you have poor or even worse uh, braking actions. So when you add all this up, communication plays a very important key to this question. And one thing that I find to make it better for me is to keep it simple. If you try to use big words, talk fast and things like this, then doesn't really work because the level of comprehension from the other person, maybe it's not as high as your level of fluency. So it's better to keep it simple so everybody
yeah,
understands it, right?
yeah, I agree. Sometimes it's even there was one guy. Uh, he spoke English, but his English was not that fluent, and because of his accent and everything, I couldn't understand him very much. And even when I spoke to him also, I, I could see that he couldn't understand me that much. So at this point, to just stick with simple words, you don't make a big conversation.
Yes.
You just say, like you said, just key words, so you can understand each other. What do you want to tell him? He can understand it, or what he wants to tell you. Just using basically keywords, flaps or this or that, not making a big sentences to get and like I said, keep it simple.
Keep it simple, yes. And Roberto, what's next? What do you have in mind? Are you preparing for the screenings for when they come, or are you taking the time to relax? Or what are you doing?
The time to relax, it's gone already because yeah, I'm studying for I'm studying for next screening when they start again. I hope that it's going to be soon. I'm looking to renew my license because my type rating expired, so I'm checking to see if I'm going to do it here in Brazil or maybe I'll go to the US to get my FAA license because it's better for the type rating and everything.
Yes.
And for now, I'm trying to get some cash flow, doing food delivery and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we are all trying to do the same, Besides besides all the problems we're facing, with the pandemic and everything, we have to keep our minds healthy because they are our
Yeah,
tool, and we have to keep it sharp. And we'll be back in the air hopefully next year, and maybe we'll see each other in Kazakhstan again or someplace else. Let's see what the future
I,
is holding for us.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope that they find a medication, a medicine that can work for this virus, not even a vaccine, but at least if they have some kind of treatment like specific, I think things will get better. And like there is that uh, old wise sentence, I don't even know if it's what you call, that says, this also shall pass, so whenever things are too good, that
Yes,
doesn't last forever, but also when things are bad like it is today, it doesn't last forever. So everything is in a cycle, and this also shall pass, and we can go back flying. Whoever wants to start in the career, in this path, can also hopefully get a new job, and everything will be good.
yeah, you're absolutely correct. And actually, this is a good time for people to make projects and prepare, change jobs. Maybe you're not very happy where you were flying, so now it's time to look for another job. And for people who want to become a pilot, this is time to start, because when the market starts, opportunity will be there, and sometimes you're going to be able to place yourself in a position to be a pilot, so it's always good to look into this perspective. And Giordani, thank you so much for sharing your experience. It was very nice talking to you, seeing you again, and I hope to see you
Nice to see you.
live, not through camera, but in person anytime soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks for the invite. I really appreciate. It was fun, remember all these stories and the the stories from Amsterdam. You remember we almost actually missed our first class in Amsterdam because of the transportation.
Yes, the guy could not find a location. Yeah, that's true.
And it was fun, and I hope we can go back flying and see each other, like I said, live,
Yes,
grab a beer, have some more fun stories to tell.
yes, that would be nice. Thank you so much, man. Have a good day. Take care.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.